Hello. If you don't know me, my name is Lauren Dockery, and I am the director of children's ministries here at St. Paul's. It's my dog Langston lurking in the background. Anyway, today I'm going to share with you a story about Epiphany. Today is Epiphany, and we are celebrating and remembering the three wise men, the Magi, who came from the far, far east all the way to Bethlehem, following a star that told them something important was going to happen. And when they got there, they found a newly born king, a baby, and they brought him the most precious gifts they could think of. The story today isn't exactly about those three men, but it is about one of those gifts. One of those gifts that we also often find is the strangest of all of those gifts, the gift of myrrh, a perfume that's used often in burials. The book I'll be reading is called The Third Gift, and it's by Linda Sue Park, who is a Newbery Medalist Award winner. My father collects tears. That is what they are called. The pearls of sap that seep out of a tree when the bark is cut. Maybe they are called tears because it seems as if the tree is crying. My father knows where the good trees are. I walk with him, the basket in one hand, the water gourd slung over my shoulder. We walk a long way. Some of the trees are close together, but most of them are far apart. One tree, another tree there, yet another far beyond. They are not beautiful trees. Their branches are stunted, knotty, spiny. Their leaves are a dull grayish green. My father has to see inside each tree. Of course, he can't really see inside, but he looks carefully at the trunk and the branches. He tears off a leaf and sniffs it. He runs his hands along the bark. Sometimes he shakes his head. No, not this tree, not now. And we walk again in the heat and the dust. Other times he nods his head and takes up the axe. This is another thing he knows, how to cut through the bark twice in the shape of an X. Not too deep, not too shallow, and in exactly the right place. He makes the first cut, then the second. He steps back. Together we watch. I hold my breath. A tear begins to emerge, a tear of sap, the blood of the tree. If my father has chosen well, and he always does, for he has been harvesting the tears all of his life, plenty of sap will bubble out of the pocket beneath the bark. It will form a big tear before the sap ceases flowing. The outside of the tear will dry in the hot sun until he can pick it off with his fingers. My father's tears are large. Their rough, dried shells protect the treasure of resin within. Other collectors are not as skilled as he is. Their tears are small, all shells, no center. My father sells the tears to the spice merchant in the marketplace. Because the tears take time and skill to harvest, they fetch good sums of money, and people must pay even more to buy them. The tears are used for many things. They can be ground up as medicine for headaches or stomach aches. They are used to flavor wine. Some people like to rub the resin on their skin to soothe rashes. The best tears, the most expensive ones, are used for funerals. The tears are ground into a powder, then steeped in oil. The oil is used to wash the body of the one who has died. Other tears are burned during the funeral so that their scent fills the air. It is a sharp smell, both bitter and sweet. When you smell the tears at a funeral, you know that someone truly beloved has died. This might be my favorite picture in all of the story. I love the way the smoke moves on the page. My father takes me with him to harvest the tears. He holds out a leaf for me to sniff. He tells me to run my hand over the bark of the tree. I do not yet know what I am supposed to smell or feel, but one day I will. Until then, I carry the basket and the water gourd, and I watch and try to learn. My father checks the last of the good trees. He smiles. Look, he says. I look and see the biggest tear yet, as large as a hen's egg, nearly as large as my fist. Go ahead, he says, still smiling. I set the basket down and reach for the tear. I twist it off carefully but quickly, just as I have seen him do it. I hold it in my palm, turn it over, and sniff its sharp, bitter sweetness. Then I place it gently in the basket. On the way home, I look at it again and again. A few weeks later, we walk to the market. It is after midday when we arrive. The spice merchant waves and calls to us, I have been waiting for you. Inside his tent, there are 3 men drinking tea. They wear fine robes, red, gold, and blue. I have never seen such robes before. The spice merchant says to his customers, this is the man I was telling you about. The man in the red greets my father. We are buying gifts, he says. We have some already, but we wish to buy one more, something special. My father nods at me. I give the basket to the merchant. With practiced fingers, he culls through the tears and places several of the largest on the cloth. In the center is my tear. The 3 men examine the tears. They speak to one another in a strange language. Finally, they look at the merchant and at my father, and they nod. We have a gift of gold and a gift of frankincense, says the man in red. Now we will add to them a gift of myrrh. As the spice merchant wraps the tears, he says, may I ask who the gifts are for? I'm glad he asked, for I want to know too. The man in the red does not speak for a moment. Then he says, the gifts are for a baby. I frown a little. Myrrh is a strange gift to give a baby. But of course, I say nothing. And I am proud that my tear, the one I harvested, is to be a part of the gift. I watch the 3 men mount their camels, and I watch them leave the marketplace. I watch as they ride into the desert, and I wonder about that baby. And here's the very last picture of the book where we can see the Magi coming in to visit Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. So, usually when I read a story to the children, I finish by asking them if there's a part of the story that they like the most, or if there's a part of that story that was the most important. Maybe if there's a part of the story that's just for you or especially about you. I love that the story is about an everyday person who helped create one of the most important gifts that we remember to this day. I wonder if that part is just for you. I feel like maybe it's just for me. That's an important part for me. And then I finish by asking them if there's anything in that story that we could leave out and still have everything we need. I don't know. But it's nice to remember gifts. The strange gift of myrrh, the people who helped create it. Thank you all so much. Happy Epiphany.